Dear students, I am Dr. Garima Srivastava from Lal Bahadur Shastri College, Lucknow. Now, continuing with my topic on employment communication, I would like to tell about writing CV. Now, it is a very important aspect when we apply for a certain job in the organization. Now, for applying for a certain job in the organization, we have talked about two aspects. That is, first of all, we need to prepare a covering letter, and the second, we need to attach a resume or a CV with that particular covering letter. Now, writing CV is also an important aspect, and it requires a lot of skill sets to prepare your own CV. Now, for that purpose, we need to understand what a CV or curriculum vitae is. When we talk about curriculum vitae, it is a Latin phrase which means course of life. Now, when we talk about course of life, that means a detailed course of life, detailed highlights of whatever you have studied right from your graduation, graduation, post graduation, what kind of jobs you have done, and similarly if who were your employers, who were your earlier employers, what were your achievements over there, if any recognitions were there, all these are needed to be listed in the curriculum vitae. So, if we talk about CVs, it includes information like work experience, achievements, awards, scholarships and other grants. If you have earned some grants, then again if you have done some kind of coursework, research projects or publications of your work. Now, these are the extra achievements that you have done apart from your course curriculum till your post graduation. Generally, the person who are employed in a particular job, they are graduates or postgraduates, and along with that particular job, they start doing some kind of extra trainings. They get to attend some seminars or conferences. Then the people try to upgrade themselves, develop themselves through certain projects. All these are needed to be listed when we talk about our curriculum vitae. Now, here we need to understand the difference between resume and CV. Now, resume is the you can say is a summary. It is a short form or short information that is given in the CV. Now, CV is a detailed form of resume. So, when we talk about resume means everything whatever you have done right from your class 10th, class 12th, then graduation, post graduation, in a very short manner, wherein you are needed to highlight your specific educational qualification, and then you need to highlight your skills and achievements and competencies to the employer. Now, when we present our resume, generally it is a short form, it is a summary. So, employer is it becomes easy for the employer to find out the specific skill sets in the employees he is expecting. Now, it will be important here that the employer will be able to screen out, or it will be able to shortlist the candidates on the basis of resume in a very faster manner. Why? Because CV is a detailed form. So, to shortlist people from a CV will be a difficult task, because CV is a detailed description of a course of life of a person, and of course, maybe some of the things which are given in the CV may be irrelevant to that particular job. Now, so of course, we need to prepare both. We need to whenever we prepare a resume or a CV, we need to check out what kind of information is given in that particular resume or CV, and how detailed this information has to be. So, if we find out the difference between resume and CV, it can be differentiated on three aspects, that is purpose, content and length. Now, of course, purpose means what is the purpose of applying for the job. If the purpose is that you just need to give your educational skills, if you just need to give your expertise, then you can apply in with a resume. Or suppose you need to give your skill sets, you need to give you need to tell about your achievements, your competencies, your other project works you have undertaken, then you need to apply with a CV. So, it is important that what purpose you are going to apply for this particular job. Then comes the content. Of course, when we talk about the content, resume has a lesser content. It is a short form of whatever you have done till that particular date, whether you have certain kind of experience or educational qualification, professional qualification. Similarly, if we talk about CV, it is a somewhat lengthier lengthier and detailed information of a person's course of life, and it will also extend beyond your education, beyond your professional education. It will also include different recognitions, different skill sets, competencies, if any awards you have got in the organization, any kind of promotions, any other aspects, any other tasks that you have done other than your say suppose you are the job you are in, all these are needed to be highlighted in your CV. Then comes the length. When we talk about the length cannot be justified in number of pages when we talk about resume, but it is important that as an aspirant, as a job seeker, you need to give only enough information that is required by the employer, and do not try to cover up pages by pages or include more pages to make it look a heavier resume or heavier CV. So, whatever number of pages are required you can use, but the detailed and appropriate information, factual information, true information should be given to the employer. Now, the very first part of a CV or a resume is that it contains an objective statement. Now, objective statement means an objective of the person, why he is applying for the job, or maybe what along down the line in 5 years, or why he is joining this particular organization, or main objective of the person in life. So, this statement is an important aspect of every resume or every CV. So, for that purpose, here are some examples of some of the statements that are being used in CV or resume. To secure a challenging position in a reputable organization, to expand my learning, knowledge and skills. Now, this is a statement which says, which depicts that the person is trying to learn, is trying to gain knowledge and skills by continuously upgrading himself, and he also wants to join our particular reputable organization. Now, of course, you are including the organizational goals also, and you are also including your own personal goals over here. So, an objective statement should be such that what you want to be in near future, at least after 1 year. It should include it should include the type of organization you are wanting to join, and it should also include what it will give you as a person, or what growth it will give you as a job candidate for in that particular organization. Now, 3 aspects are important for this particular objective statement. That means the first one, why you are going to take up this job, because this is a challenging position. Secondly, why you want to join this job organization, because this is a reputable organization. And then again, long term perspective, if we talk about, it will give me learning, knowledge and skills. So, these 3 aspects need to be considered when we prepare our objective statement. So, look at the second one, secure a responsible career opportunity to fully utilize my training skills while a significant contribution to the success of the company. Now, of course, I am not talking about a reputable company over here, I am talking about my contribution towards the success of the company. Now, this is a different perspective through which the candidate is looking into for applying into a job. Now, seeking an entry level position to begin my career in a high level professional environment. This can be a job objective for a fresher. Now, coming down to the fourth one, if we see to secure employment with a reputable company where I can utilize my skills and business studies background to the maximum. Then again, a highly organized and hardworking individual looking for a responsible position to gain practical experience. Now, over here the person has highlighted his personal skills. That means he is very highly organized and very hardworking person, and he is trying to find a position in a organization where he can practically apply these skills. Then comes the last one, to make use of my interpersonal skills to achieve goals of a company that focuses on customer satisfaction and customer experience. Now, this can be an objective for a person who wants to apply for a job in a sales area. Why? Because he is an interactive person, he is he's excellent in interpersonal skills, and of course he likes to work towards the satisfaction of the customer. This is being justified by this statement. Now this objective is an important aspect. You need to write this objective by your own, and it should not be copied down from somewhere, and it should be of your own. You can definitely read from different other objectives and then combine them to prepare your own objective. So this is the very first point where the employer is attracted. Now employer will look into the aspects, what are your basic skills, what are your future plans to join that particular organization, or what kind of organization you are going to search for as a job seeker. Then comes the curriculum vitae. Now if we talk about the curriculum vitae, it is of three types. Now first, the very first one that is being used in a regular manner is chronological CV. Now chronological means a reverse step by step or a sequential kind of CV is called as a chronological CV. It focuses on presenting the candidate's experience employer by employer basis, with the posts being listed in a reverse chronological order. That means the latest is at the topmost and the oldest one is the lowest most. Now similarly other heads will also be placed in a chronological order. So chronological CV should contain a brief personal statement at the front, which sets out the key skills and strengths of the candidate. The most common type of CV. When we talk about chronological CV, it has the following structure. Now very first we have the personal details, wherein we have to give just a name, and we can give a contact number and an email ID. Now these days LinkedIn IDs are being also shared in the personal detail. Now not more than that personal detail is required on the CV. Now personal profile, you need to give certain kind of personal profile, whether you are married or you are single, or what kind of languages you speak, what is your address and email address, all these comes under your personal profile. Then comes the career history. The career history means it will be including everything right from your class 10th till your post graduation if you have done, or graduation you have done, and then along with that if you are into a job for say about 2 or 3 years, it will be including everything, but of course in a chronological manner, in a reverse chronological manner. That means whatever you are doing on that particular date, that will be given in latest will be at the first place and the oldest will be at the lowest place. Then comes your educational qualification. Now educational qualification, you need to give this also in a chronological order, wherein you will be giving your details about your post graduation, then graduation, then class 12th, then class 10th and so on. Then again after this you will be giving some kind of professional memberships if you are having professional memberships. Otherwise you can give details about your competencies, your skills, your achievements, any publication that you have done, or suppose you have attended some kind of seminars or conferences, all these things. Then the next point, we have a sample of say CV wherein the name, first name is presented on the top, first name, then last name and the address or phone number, and then he has given his email ID. Over here LinkedIn ID can also be given. See this is the exact sequence of a we can say covering letter, curriculum vitae. The very first line is the objective of the CV, which we have already discussed. Then comes your experience. Experience has to be latest organization will be given at the very first place, and the last oldest organization will be given in the last point. Then we can give the educational qualification. If we have some certain kind of professional qualification, that needs to be given before your educational qualification, then skill sets, then competencies and so on. Now what are the advantages of a CV, particularly useful for those applying with the same industry, as it will demonstrate your career progression. Now, of course, we have already talked about this somewhat in the lecture, like if I am going to apply in the same kind of job, then the CV is the best form to present my skill sets, because I have been into the same industry for a long time, and my CV will give a review of different organizations which I have worked with. So, it is good if this type of CV, chronological CV, will be good if we are going to apply in the same kind of industry. Suppose we are going to change, I as an individual or job seeker, I want to change my industry. Now, over here, if the change of industry is being done, now you would not be chronological CV will not be suggestible at all. Why? Because chronological CV will be giving the organizations of a different aspect, wherein you are going to apply in a different kind of industry. So, if you are going to change your industry, you need to present your skill sets rather than presenting the different organizations. So, it is a favorite format for most of the employers who simply want easily identify role and responsibility of each job. Now, it is easy if through a chronological CV, it becomes easy for the employer to find out the different skill sets, the different organizations the candidate has been working. So, it will be easy for him for the employer to shortlist certain kind of employees. If you do not have many achievements or significant highlights across your career, taking a job by job approach can detail your main responsibilities and take the emphasis away from the key achievements, and more is expected in a functional CV. Now, of course, if you do not have much of the achievements, so this kind of CV will be important. Why? Because chronological CV basically emphasizes on the experiences, emphasizes on the educational and academic and expertise of the person. But if we talk about if we need to present different kind of skill sets, suppose if we are needed to present different kinds of achievements to the employer, over there functional kind of CV will be important, which is the second type of CV. So, chronological CV will only be important where we are going to apply in the same kind of industry, where the employer just wants to see what kind of organizations you have been, or what have been the different skill sets required, and and the employer does not want to look into the other skill sets of the person. Over there, chronological CVs work very well. Now, what can be the disadvantage? If you have gaps in your employment which would rather not be highlighted, a chronological CV will highlight those. So, if you have certain gaps in your employment, suppose you have worked for 2 years and then left for 1 year, then again you have worked for 2 years and again left. So, over there are a number of gaps. If you see these gaps in your career graph, so it becomes a negative impression for your employer that there are a number of gaps in the career graph of a person. So, over there chronological CV will not work at all, because chronological CV directly impacts, directly gives the date by date or sequence by sequence every thing that the person has done. So, it becomes difficult for the person to grab that job opportunity. So, do not put forward your chronological CV if there are gaps in your education, if there are gaps in your experience sets. Then comes if you are changing your career direction, or of course, if you are changing your industry altogether, then of course, your chronological CV will not be working, because the recruiter is not much concerned for what organizations you have been working, because you were working in a different industry. Now, you are applying for a certain different industry. So, chronological CV will not work at all. So, for changing an industry, you need to prepare your CV in a different manner. So, over there for changing your industry, now you will be proving yourself that you are fit for this particular new industry also. How you will be proving yourself? You will be proving yourself by presenting your skill sets, you will be proving yourself by presenting your competencies or whatever achievements which may be relevant to the new industry you are trying to apply. Now, second type of CV if we talk about is the functional CV. Functional, as the name suggests, is it places the emphasis on the skills and expertise of a person. Now, of course, it means the basic function of the CV. It is not at all looking into the chronology of your employment, how far you have been working, how many employers with you have been working, how many years, though it will be focusing on how many years you have been working, but it won't be focusing enough that what employers you have been working with. It will be basically focus on main functions that you were performing in those organizations. Suppose you were working in a sales team for certain 5 years. Over there you what have been your skill sets. Suppose you have been team leading for 2 years, you have been you have been leading 10 people, 20 people for 3 years. This will be your skill sets in the functional CV. Now, so for that purpose, suppose I am talking about a CV of a salesperson. Now, this salesperson wants to change the industry, or he wants to get into a managerial position. Over there his functional CV will relate to the skill sets he has acquired through through his working experience of say about 10 or 12 years. So, over there if you do not put forward the different organizations, nothing matters, but you have to put forward all kind of skill sets that you have acquired during those 12 years, other thing. Then a functional CV typically starts with a personal profile which highlights the achievements, skills and personal qualities that you possess. This is then followed by a succession of sections, each relating to different skills and ability. There should be an ordered or decreasing order of importance. Instead of focusing on a particular job, you should describe your experience in the entirety. That means over here you are not going to talk about the chronology of the employment. Now, over here you can just tell an experience of about 12 years and latest you are working with this particular employee. There is no need to tell about the other employers with whom you have been working in past 11 years. So, this is the simple format of a CV, which is functional CV, where we have given professional accomplishment importance, and field by field it has been given, and employment history has been given in a short form. Then we can have again a different example of functional CV. See over here the profile, the person has given a short brief brief summary of his statement. This can be called as his objectives of the particular CV. Then procurement, he has given the various functions he was performing, like procurement, account management, training and development, and then he has given the experience. So, this is a specific kind of functional CV example. Now, what can be the advantages of a functional CV? If you have changed jobs frequently, that means of course you have suppose say you have a number of gaps in your job, or you are a constant switcher of your job. So, suppose you have switched job in 6 months, every say about 1 year, then again you have changed job again after 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. So, you are a frequent changer of you frequent job seeker. So, in such kind you need to make your CV as a functional CV, because a chronological CV will give a negative feedback that you continuously change your job, and it may give a negative feedback to the employer. So, if you have several career gaps, a functional CV will be a best one in placing yourself in front of that employer. So, if you have if you want to change the industry, functional CV will help you in finding a best recruiter or prospective recruiter who will focus on these skills and your transferability ability to come to his organization. If you are more mature candidate, or if you are more mature applicant, a functional CV will take the spotlight away from your age. That means, if you are highlighting your skills in a very good manner or in a very mature manner, your gaps, your switching of the jobs frequently may be taken away by this particular kind of CV. Now, what can be the disadvantages of functional CV? If you do not have much work experiences, so you may struggle to highlight achievements in the separate sections. Now, of course, when we talk about functional CV, it highlights different achievements in different sections. Now, suppose you have worked for say about 12 years, but you do not have much of the achievements, or you do not have much of the experiences or skill sets that you can highlight in your CV. So, over there it is the chronological kind of CV will be better, because highlighting your skills, lesser number of skills will not give a positive outcome to your CV. Most employers do not like this type of CV, as they prefer to clearly see what candidate has done, and it also raises question around whether the candidate is trying to hide something, because when we talk about the functional CV, we generally do not give the names of the older organizations. So, this raises a questions in the minds of the employer, that is the candidate trying to hide something. So, over there sometimes this kind of CV may create a negative impact. The functional CV will not enable you to highlight consistent career progression. So, your consistency, your dynamism, your progress in your life will only be highlighted through a chronological CV and not through the functional CV. Now, if we talk about the different other aspects of the chronological and functional CV, both can be used in different situation. Now, here it is necessary for the job seeker or the applicant to understand that what kind of CV he has to put forward. Now, over here when we talk about the type of job that comes up in the market, we need to analyze that. We need to analyze the advertisement, that what is exactly needed by the employer. Once I am able to understand what is needed by the employer, I would be able to highlight the same things in my CV. So, chronological CV, if it is required, say suppose if the employer is asking for different experience sets, if he is asking for different organizations name, then chronological kind of CV is important. Suppose if the employer is asking for different skill sets, if he is asking for different competency sets, then a functional kind of CV can be taken up. So, the difference between two is very important, and you cannot mix and match both the kind of CVs. So, different kinds of job will require a different kind of CV. So, to understand both of them can be used. A third kind of CV can be used, that is called as combined CV. Thank you.